Welcome, everybody, to the inaugural episode of the Greg Cranfill Coaches Show, powered by VYPE Media. I'm Joshua Cook. I'll be hosting the show throughout the 2020 season. And, of course, there you see the head coach of the St. Pius X Panthers, Greg Cranfill. Coach, we are on the verge of the 2020 season. Let's just first talk about, brand new turf at St. Pius X, brand new uniforms. Y'all have to be super excited about the season starting.
Absolutely. There's a bunch of people in place in pretty important positions that have helped us to get the things that raised our level from a top tier program almost to the elite status when it comes to those types of things. There'll be no one in the state of Texas that has better turf than us. And that creates a pretty cool atmosphere, which was already a good atmosphere at Parsley Field. And the kids, there's not a better uniform that anybody's gonna have on it. We live by the philosophy: if you look good, you feel good. If you feel good, you play good. Now, Dion would say if you play good, they pay good, but not in this league. You know what I mean? So, so we're pretty excited about the steps that we're taking to move to that elite status. Now we just got to back it up on the field on Friday nights.
Yeah, Friday night is going to be the first real test of the 2020 season as y'all open it up. Let's talk about y'all had a scrimmage against the John Cooper School this past week, and this offseason has been weird. There's probably not as many scrimmages as you would have, not as many practices that you would have. But turning on the tape as I watched a few plays from that scrimmage, pretty impressed with the offensive unit on how they're doing it. And I think one is Andra Farrow in the backfield. That's going to be a problem for a lot of people because he's big, and B, he can put his foot in that brand new turf, by the way. How many times can I plug that new turf is a good question.
I like it.
But he can put his foot in the turf, make a cut, and he's gone. He's got kind of some elusive speed. Talk about what you saw on him from film in that scrimmage.
Yeah, I think when we talk about Andra, even he, he's a newly elected captain, and he gets it. And the fact that he would tell anybody that what he does on the football field is directly related to what goes on with that front five that we have up at that offensive line. And when you talk about our offense, to me, from day one that I got here to where we are right now, there's no doubt in my mind that the offensive line has made such a huge improvement. And Coach Rodney Smith, who's a veteran coach that I was blessed to have, be a part of my staff, has just taken those guys under his wing and just, golly, I can't explain the difference that he has made in some of those guys. And the fact of it is, Josh, you got to want to be coached. In order to be great, you got to want to be coached. You can't take coaching as something negative. You got to take coaching as something that someone's trying to build you up and make you even better. And I think that our front five does just exactly that. That's Alex Gutierrez, that's Issa Baba, that's Juan Reyes, that's Mirko Dawson, and that's Michael Fight. And then we've got added a tight end with Logan Tanner in there that we feel like we've got a pretty good front. Now, we're nowhere where we need to be. I tell the kids every time, it's never as good as it seems, and it's never as bad as it seems. So every time I think something's good's going on, I go back to the video. Now, with that being said, that's always a positive thing for me, just because of the fact that I don't ever pat them on the back and go, guys, we're about as good as we're ever going to be. Because I still feel like we've got room to improve, and I still feel like these guys have an upside even when they're playing pretty good. With that, you're exactly right. Andra brings a pretty powerful punch, and that's exactly what we've always wanted in our backfield. When I was at Flower Mound Marcus, we had a running back named Stephen Hopkins, Harvey Giddens, those types of backs that could carry the ball 20 and 30 times a game and be powerful and still yet explosive. And that's the type of back that we're looking for. So we're real pleased. There's also some bright sides behind Andra that will help to make Andra even better. And that's guys like Carson Hintz, who came in and ran the football for us. That's guys like Dylan Edwards, who came in and ran the football for us, just to give Andra a little break during those longer drives where he can get spelled and then come back and still be effective. And those guys behind him that I just named aren't that bad either. They're actually some pretty talented kids as well.
There could be a little bit of thunder and lightning going on at St. Pius the 10th.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
under could be the thunder, and here comes the lightning on the next play.
That's exactly right. And that, I mean, we joke about that, but that's a huge, it's a huge difference playing defensively, knowing how to stop a certain back, and then all of a sudden you throw a wrinkle in there with something else, and it's pretty. I'm happy with where we are. I'm not satisfied.
And another position, and I think, in this opening episode of the Coaches Show, we'll kind of focus a little bit more on offense because
Sure.
and then next week we'll dive in the defense a little bit more after y'all's first game. But offensively, quarterback Carson Rodgers, I really like what he does at quarterback. He's tall. He stands in the pocket. He can throw a rope. He's of course a pitcher on the St. Pius X baseball team, so he can rocket it in there. From y'all scrimmage, 7 for 15 for 90 yards, and like you had said before we got started, it's a scrimmage. You're going to try some things that you wouldn't naturally try, but there are some throws that he got to Ricky Thomas a couple solid throws down the field. Carson can run the ball as well. What did you like the most about when you turned on the film from his scrimmage and just how he's evolved in your system so far?
You bet. And I know this is going to sound crazy. The most impressed I was with him was on an incomplete pass. We ran a little play action skinny post, and Josh, when he pulled the ball and ripped it, I just kind of turned and looked at him and was like, wow. I mean, and we didn't complete the pass, but it was just the fact of how much progress he has made. And he was already a pretty talented player. But the fact of him settling into a system where he knows I'm not going to throw it 40 and 50 times a game, but I don't have to throw it 50 times a game in order to throw it for 250 yards, and that's some of the impressive things that he does. We tell our quarterbacks 2 things to be a great quarterback: your head and your heart. And I tell them all the time, guys, bail me out because I'm going to make some horrible calls. I'm going to think things are going to happen that don't happen, and I need quarterbacks that bail me out of situations. And Carson did just that. Like I said, he went 7 of 15. He had 2 drops, which would have made him 9 of 15. And then there were probably 4 or 5 throws that we normally would not call in the situation, but it was like last play of the scrimmage, so we just dropped back and let it fly. You know what I mean? Those types of things. But again, some of the most impressive times that I was with, or during the scrimmage that I was with Carson, is the fact that he drops back and the play implodes. Something happens through protection or something happens in the backfield or in the secondary that we didn't see happen. And he did not panic. He just put his foot in the ground, went and got 4 or 5 yards, and we lived to see another down. Taking care of that ball in those situations and not trying to force throws. As he evolves through his game, I promise someone's going to put their eyes on him at the next level and go, this is the guy we want leading our program, because that's where we're at right now at St. Pius with him.
So coming up this Friday, y'all open up the 2020 season against Lutheran High North. It's a home game, so it's exciting to get the Friday night lights on your new turf. See, there's
Absolutely.
3 times I've mentioned
I like it.
turf.
I like it.
Have you been able to kind of look at Lutheran High North? And I know this offseason kind of weird and scrimmages, not a lot of tape, but have you gotten to see kind of what they're going to bring over to Kubiak Field on Friday night?
Absolutely nothing. I'm serious. Coach called me the other day and said that his first scrimmage, we were going to trade first scrimmage tapes, and his first scrimmage got canceled. So it's pretty much, just going into it blind. And I don't want sympathy, because there's a bunch of coaches around the state of Texas that are dealing with the same situations that I am. But it's a pretty unique dynamic as a head coach for a guy like me, Josh, that probably watches 40 to 50 hours of video throughout the course of a 7-day period, to now you're just looking at nothing. You can't see anything. But I'll tell you the unique thing about it. It allows us to focus more on us than on anybody else. So as far as the difference between blocking an even front and an odd front, that's what we're going into it this week. We have no idea. We're expecting anything from a 10-1 defense to a 3-3 stack to anything. And it allows us to kind of focus more on us and try to get better on the things that we need to do, as opposed to trying to attack a certain part of another defense. So yeah, we have not. I mean, they could come out in the single wing as far as we know, or they could come out in empty every package. And what we've got to do is just we've got to be ready for everything. I put right on my board when I was doing my scout report, the keys for defensively is be ready for absolutely anything. And then don't flinch. When it happens, don't panic, just palms down, and then just let the next play happen and run to the next situation. So
you're watching the Coach's Show with Greg Cranfill, powered by VYPE. And Coach, before we let you go, we'll end with this. You know, COVID-19 is a big topic around the country right now. And like you had mentioned, Lutheran High had to cancel their scrimmage. I'm assuming that had to do something with COVID or scheduling thing. How have y'all had to approach this week, especially this week with it being game week, like keeping your guys, you know, I've heard different things from different ADs. You know, we got to keep a bubble. We got to have our own kind of bubble. Going into this game week, how have y'all kind of approached this with your guys on the stress of like, be sure to wash your hands, stay away from people, don't come in contact? And I know that's hard for teenagers, especially.
Sure.
What's been y'all's message, especially in this game week?
I think it's just continuing what we're doing, you know, what we've done since day one. We have a tremendous athletic director, an amazing head of school, and one, you know, a great high school principal. And the fact that when all of this went down, you know, they sat down and said, this is our protocol. This is how we're going to handle it. And I felt from day one, it's one of the top plans in the state, you know. So our plan this week would be no different, just to keep on doing what we're doing. The honest truth is, you know, I don't know if there's a fail-proof plan anywhere. But we feel like if it did happen, that we're taking all the precautions that we could happen to protect our kids. That's the important thing. It's secondary when it comes to football. It's primary when it comes to taking care of our kids, and that's what we're going to try to continue to do.
Well, that is how we will end this first episode of the Coach's Show with Greg Cranfill, powered by VYPE. We will do this every single week through the 2020 season. It will air here on Wednesdays on the VYPE Media Network. And, Coach, we appreciate the time. We can't wait to see St. Pius X opens the 2020 season against Lutheran High North on Friday at Kubiak Stadium on the new turf. I knew I'd get it in there one more time.
That's right, man.
I knew one more time. Coach, we appreciate the time. Best of luck this Friday. We can't wait to see what the Panthers can do throughout the 2020 season.
Awesome. Thank you so much for everything that you do for us, man. It's pretty impressive what VYPE and you do. So just keep on, man.